Father Brown's Indian Tale by Hale Burnett. Chapter 1. The Guests Arrive. It was Sunday and raining hard. All morning Chuck and Toad had hoped it would clear, but still the rain came down in sheets. "Looks like a flood to me," said Chuck. "If it only were, we could have fun floating around on things," answered Toad. "Guess this table would make a fine raft." They were seated at dinner, and Mother Brown asked the boys what they had planned to do that afternoon. "Nothing, Mother. I can't think with all this rain pouring down," replied Chuck. "Oh, I know!" cried Toad. "Will you tell us a story, Dad? Reddy wanted me to ask you when we said goodbye last night." "I wonder," inquired Father Brown, "if we could get all the boys together for a story this afternoon. What do you think, Mother?" "Why not have John harness old Dick to the big covered carriage," answered Mother, "and pick up all the boys? Thomas and Charlie could go with him, and you could be thinking up the story while they're away." "Fine idea," agreed Father. "Dandy!" shouted both the boys. "Shall we start for them right after dinner?" "Yes, immediately after dinner," said Father. When the rice pudding was served, Father was so busy thinking that he forgot to eat, and Mother laughed and said he really wasn't any older than the boys. When dinner was over, Father wrote a short note to a friend of his and gave it to John, saying as he did so, "After you bring the boys back, take this note to Mr. Williams, and he may give you a bundle to deliver to me, or he may come himself." "All right, sir," answered John. Father now hurried upstairs after asking Mother to send the boys when they arrived to the library. Within a short time there was a shout from the driveway, and in came a crowd of boys. "My goodness, how did all of you ever get into one carriage?" asked Mother. "We sat on each other," replied Chuck. "I know, because I was underneath." "Well, go into the other room, and Dad will be down in a little while," said Mother. "Everyone find a seat," shouted Chuck as they reached the library. "Sit on the floor or anywhere you want." A big fire was burning in the fireplace, and most of the boys sat before it on the bearskin rug. "Bet this fellow could bite when he was alive," laughed Fat, whose real name was Frank, and who was nicknamed because of his size. Lifting up the big head, he placed his hand between the jaws. "Behold the great bear tamer," laughed Chuck. "Wonder what the story will be about," said Toad. "Dad knows such heaps." "Maybe about wild animals," answered Reddy. "I'd like to hear a sea story," cried Chuck. "Be a good day for it with all this water outside." Just at this moment the door opened and Father Brown entered, dressed in a queer black coat with a big turned-down collar of white and wide cuffs to match. He wore a tall crowned hat and had on odd square-toed shoes with silver buckles on them. The boys looked at him in wonder. Walking over to a chair by the fireplace and seating himself, Father Brown said, "I am dressed in my great-grandfather's Sunday suit, and I'm going to tell you a story about what happened to him when he was a little boy and lived in this very house." "Oh, will there be Indians in it?" asked Chuck. "Yes, plenty of them," answered Father Brown. "I asked your mother to send you here," he continued, "because this room, in great-grandfather's day, was the big room of the house, and it was here that most of my story took place."